Hi, everyone. This is the third season of the Pedal Podcast, and this one was a really quick one. I reached out to Mr. Nacho Porto. You must have came across his Instagram channel. I'm an avid fan of his work, and I just written to him because I just slipped into his DMs, and I asked him, "Would you like to come on the show?" And literally, he said yes, he would love to come on the show. So, Mr. Nacho Porto is with me today. He's in Spain. Tell me about the weather so I can be really envious of your situation. How you do? And thank you very much for accepting my invite.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, weather here is great. I'm in the south of Spain in Cadiz. It's maybe 15 degrees, but actually I came from Finland 3 days ago. So actually I was suffering the cold and snowing and all this not so nice weather.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you in Helsinki or any other place like Turku?
It's it's a it's another city called Jyväskylä. It's like 3 hours from Helsinki.
Okay, you will tell me your journey, but like I don't know what that has to do anything with paddle, but I know that Finland is not as well connected as, let's say, Sweden yet, but obviously paddle is growing. But it is down to the work of you as well, and I know that you're coaching the Finnish team, and I will talk about that one as well. But before we get into it, first question first, because you're Spanish, it will be fairly obvious. But how did you get into paddle?
Well, I moved to a place here in my hometown where there was probably the first paddle club in the town, and probably one of the first clubs in Spain. It was a social club here, and one of my friends played paddle. I was like, okay, what is this? And then we went to try. I was at this time maybe 10 years old, and then from there I fell in love with the sport. At that time, as you can imagine, the courts were concrete. There were no wall like glasses, and the sport was not popular. But the professional circuit, which at that time I was talking about, 2000 or 98 or something like that, there was one of the tournament in summer that was played here in El Puerto de Santa Maria, which is my hometown. So actually, this made also that in this area, the sport got even more popular because the professionals were coming from Argentina. So everybody was really expecting in summer to this tournament to come. And then we get even more enthusiastic about the sport.
Yeah, no, I can see that. So that was your first sport then, or did you play? Obviously, I guess all of you played football and
Yeah.
all that, but what was paddle your first real sport when you started to play?
Actually, no. Unfortunately, I'm going to tell you why. I was playing football, I was cycling, I was skating, and I like to study a lot about coaching, skill acquisition, and all these kind of topics related to coaching. And it's been demonstrated that the kids who actually play a lot of sports, so they don't specialize very early, they actually end up playing better one of the sport that they finally specialize. So actually, I was lucky because I was playing many other sports, not just paddle.
Oh, that's actually really interesting. And look, I mean, I see how you play paddle because obviously on your Instagram page you can see that. But where do you actually? So tell me about like why you ended up in Finland. How did you? What's the journey? Just that way.
Okay, it's a little bit long story, okay, but I'm gonna try to make it as concrete as possible. So I end up in Madrid studying my engineering degree, and there I was playing actually a lot. I was competing a lot there, but obviously I was not looking for being professional or taking padel as seriously as I take it now because it's my main job and my way of life. But at some point, I have the opportunity to go to Finland with an Erasmus program. And then I met my current wife and everything. So we moved to Spain and I started to work in my normal, well, it has been my job for the last 15 years, was energy consultant. Okay. But actually, I didn't like the corporative life. I was quite pissed, actually. I think the corporative life is bullshit. And And then at some point, like 5 years ago, we decided to move to Finland because of personal things. And then I started coaching paddle. And from there, I said, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I love to do. And my wife accepted, and we moved to Finland. She's from Finland, obviously. And from there until today, I've been really enjoying my everyday, work and my everyday routine. So now I really can say what some people say: when you really like what you do, you don't have to work anymore. I thought before that was bullshit, but it's really true. So I'm very fortunate about this.
Yeah, no, look, 100%, and obviously you're when I can just go back to when I watch your videos, and I like it that you're not trying to sugarcoat anything. Most of, and that's what makes you special as well. So, we will talk about on how you ended up here, and you can see the enthusiasm and also how you love the sport itself, and that's what we want. We are still at that stage, and we talk about it all the time, that we are still at that stage where we need enthusiastic people to grow the sport, and that will never die out. But at the moment, we need to all work together to achieve that. Um, and obviously, you started coaching, and was that like a natural sort of thing to get into an Instagram channel, or how did that come about? Did you feel like, oh, there's so many myths around paddle that I really need to get a channel where I'm talking about those bullshits?
Mm. I had the channel for my academy, Finns Padel Academia, which is the academy I have in Finland, and we were sharing some content. But then at it was November last year, November 2024, I decided I want to also share content with my personal account, because in my personal account I would probably have more opportunities to enter in more controversial topics, and I didn't want to harm the image of Finns Padel, because there are other people working there. So I didn't want to that because the topics that I share on my personal account are quite controversial. So then we started making one video, and then suddenly I came up with this bullshit popular thing that I'm doing now. So I was doing the video, and then it was just, all of a sudden I said, like, okay, this is bullshit. And then I said, okay, actually this is nice. But then the video got viral. Like the first video we made like this, I think it's like 500,000 views or something like that. And then I said, okay, actually, it would be nice to make more videos of this, about what you said, about these myths and all these, I don't know, beliefs and assumptions that there are in paddle, that actually at least someone has to question it.
And what are those myths? So, like, if you could name a few of those, obviously, we can go back to your Instagram channel, and if someone wants to do that. But what is your biggest pet peeve? So, if we would have to choose a few of these biggest mistakes, what coaches do, is it the dead zone? Is it like, you don't really hit like a strong bahada from the back, or what is exactly what you would point out about these coaching myths that, like, for tennis players, that might be good for starters, or beginners are different. I would assume that these things are for tennis players who are now getting converted to paddle. Like, if you could name a few of those.
I think many of these myths come from the fact that I think in general, coaches, they don't have so much education, I would say, in coaching, and I think it's normal because padel is not so professional yet. For example, I think many of the coaches think that technique, there is, for me, there is a wrong understanding of what is technique. For the majority of the coaches, technique is just one way of hitting the ball. Every coach has their role model, so you should hit the ball like this, and you must hit the ball like this if you want to play well. For example, that's a myth, because we see that later that there are so many players that they hit very differently, but still they play quite well. So let's say from that kind of belief that, you know, paddle is, you learn paddle in a linear way. For example, let's say if I want you to learn to play overheads, you have to do 1000 repetitions the same way. I put you the same ball to the same place at the same speed, all these kind of things. So from there, it comes all probably all this kind of assumption that, I mean, it's not me. I study a lot, and I see what the research are saying, what the people who are expert in pedagogics, in skill acquisition, they are talking about what they are researching, and there are many coaches that are wrong. And basically, the problem for me is that people are copying what other people are saying. This is the same that I don't know how it's still in the UK, but in Spain, until 5 years ago, everybody said that you couldn't eat one egg, you know, or two eggs for a day was really bad for your health. And this been transmitted for, you know, our grandpas to our fathers to us, and now they are saying no, actually eggs is really healthy. You should eat one egg a day. It's actually very good for you. So I think in paddle we are still in this process that people are saying what another guy said, and then, you know, it's like a ball.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a snowball effect, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I think it's really interesting because two of my favorite coaches, one is definitely you, the other one I would say Mauri Andrini and Hello Pedal, because he's always trying to show everything. And I was lucky enough to meet him. And hopefully, by the way, I will meet you in Barcelona in on the Pedal Summit. It would be quite great because it's going to be amazing. And now obviously that you're a pedal content creator is where you have to be there. So hopefully we can do a live interview as well. But I was lucky enough to meet Mauri last year on the Pedal Summit, and you know he seems an absolutely genuine guy as well, and that's what I love in your channel as well. You're not sugarcoating; you're saying what is on your mind, and as you say, you're reading about it. You obviously want to be a better coach because it's one thing. And I did my coaching qualifications as well, so I still I don't have the paper yet. I still need a few videos to submit, but I will be a level 2 coach, and I'm actually planning to do the Hello Pedal Academy as well because it's quite great, and also Pedal MBA and all that. So I think it's really interesting and it's really vital to make yourself a better coach. And look, you grew up with paddle. So you know paddle inside and out. So you haven't really seen a lot of situation when there wasn't, you know, like you haven't seen before. It's the same for me in tennis. Like I grew up playing tennis. I was playing since I was 4 years old. I haven't seen some situations which haven't happened before. So like, you know, I haven't faced those things. So I think it's really good that that you are you're saying and you're basically proving everyone wrong, or like you know these urban legends wrong, and now
Mm.
you're obviously trying to make these things right. So that's I really like that. I want to talk about obviously the Nordics and now that you're in Finland, we all know about Sweden, and I want to ask you about Sweden, your take, because then you said that you moved back around COVID, right? So that was the time when you actually moved back in a way to Finland. So how is paddle in Finland? How is it different? How many courts are there? Um, because now we can see Swedish players on the Premier Pedal as well. I mean Simon Vasquez or Simon Vasquez and also Axelsson. So when will be some Finnish players there and how different it is?
Okay, can I go very quickly back because you talk about
Please, absolutely.
certifications? Okay, because I think I have to say that because I would like to share my opinion on this, which is there are so many certifications right now. You can take a certification from a federation or from private certifiers. Okay, and I think those certifications should be called maybe courses instead of certification, because I think when you are certified to do something, that means that you actually have pretty good knowledge of the things that you are gonna do. Probably you already have some experience. Maybe you have do some internship or whatever. But I think those certifications in general are very, very, they are very short time. So maybe sometimes they are even a day, 2 days. And I have taken some of them, and I feel that the quality of them in general is really low. But people are saying like, I'm certified by whatever. That means nothing. They probably will experience that when they go to coach, they feel like when I went out of university, like you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Okay, so I wanted to say that because if you really want to coach because you feel that this is your thing, of course take those certification, but don't be fooled. Those are just courses. They might tell you are certified to level 1 to be coach. You have no idea. You have to train. You have to continue coaching. Okay. Then regarding the Nordics, the level in Finland, I think the level in Finland has been increasing dramatically since I moved there 4 years ago. Obviously, in Sweden, Padel started before, so they have more experience. I think it's more professional in Sweden too. They have more sponsor. I think there are at least 10 guys who are really just taking Padel as a professional life. However, in Finland, what is happening usually is that it goes a little bit behind Sweden. So when in Sweden things start to pop up and something get popular, it takes maybe a couple of years that Finland start doing the same things. Okay, so what happens also is from the cultural point of view, I feel that Finland feel a little bit, how would you say, like they feel a little bit behind Sweden from the mental point of view. Either they go to compete with them and they might feel inferior, so that's also something that they are struggling. But then in terms of clubs, in terms of player, I think Finland has grown a lot. They have a big boom. They made a lot of clubs like in Sweden, and now some of them they have to close, so they are facing financial issues. But I would say that the sport is getting to some point which is going to get stable, also from the financial point of view. And from players' point of view, I think it's still growing. Not as 2 years ago, but probably still growing.
So you could see a curve. So basically around up until 2 years ago, it was like really steeply climbing, and now it's sort of like stalling a little bit. So it's because I feel like we're still at that stage because I would say paddle really kicked off 3 years ago in the UK. So it has been going on. The first courts were installed ages ago, but then it didn't really. I mean, I was always trying to find the reason that like it somehow just blew up all of a sudden. So do you have a take on why it just blew up 3-4 years ago and now everyone is talking about paddle and everyone is like when you open your LinkedIn, when you open your Instagram, obviously that's what us two are, for example, following, and because of that, but it looks like everyone is successful in this business. Everyone is great. Everyone is the best player you've ever seen. And do you have a take on why that happened, or you just go with the flow?
I have no idea. I mean, in Spain and in Argentina, the sport, as you know, has been for very long here, and they have tried a lot to make it more popular around Europe, around South America, and somehow it didn't
They never
spread.
caught.
Probably social media has also helped a lot. I think the fact that many people from the Nordics, from all Europe, they come to Spain to have holidays, and they have seen paddle here. What is this? They tried, and then they like it. For example, I think the first club that there was opening in Finland was 3-4 guys who came to. I know them, so they came to Malaga, and they came actually for a golf trip. But then it was raining like hell. And then one day they went to Malaga by car because they didn't know what to do. So they said, okay, let's go to Malaga. And then when they were there, they saw a paddle club and they said, okay, what is this? Then they went there without rackets. And then they said, okay, hey, we would like to try this. Then they played. And then when they went going back to Finland playing, they said, hey, we should look if there is anything like this here, paddle thing in Finland. And they didn't find anything. there is only just one court. So from there, they start playing, and then it was super popular, super full, so they couldn't play. So then they say, hey, let's open our own club. So probably this story is replicated in other countries too.
For sure.
Nordics, but also all around Europe, or even in other in Asia or in other continents.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, and I think it's really interesting on how it evolves. And look, I can just only see two countries in depth. One is obviously the UK. The other one, or more like that's a group of countries, but you know what I mean, like a place, let's call it that way. And Hungary, because I'm Hungarian. So these are the two places where I can see. In Hungary, we still don't have 100 courts. And if I think about it, that Sweden is the same population pretty much as Hungary, and there's like 7,000 courts, it is a bit scary. And also that would be my next question. Why do you think Sweden, did they get greedy, or why did they build so many courts so quickly? I know the COVID thing, but do you have an idea on, because obviously you're neighboring Sweden, so it would be really interesting to know, apart from the fact that like they just sort of felt the business opportunity, but is there anything why it just sort of went sideways?
I guess like in Finland, there was a big business opportunity. There was COVID. Probably padel was one of the sports that people could play. So investors saw such a good opportunity to make business. People were playing from 7 to 10 p.m. in COVID times. So I think at that point they were making a lot of money. So as you said, people probably got a bit greedy, and they started building more clubs. As happened here, actually, in Spain, happened the same before 2008, before the big crisis. It happens the same. And in Finland, it's been happening the same. So I think they saw the business like pretty simple. Also, I think the fact that in the Nordic countries it's pretty popular that you go to play a sport, there is no customer service, there is just one code in which you just press certain buttons, you enter in the club, you play, and you leave. And I think all the clubs were like that at the beginning. So that means that they were even more profitable because there was no customer service, you didn't have to pay employees. But then at some point, other people were doing the same. They were building clubs, so there was more competition. Then you need to have customer service because you have to offer something different. So then they start to struggle. And nowadays, I think I've heard a lot in Sweden, they have closed so many clubs. And in Finland is the same case. Actually, one interesting thing is that there have been big Swedish companies that they came to Finland to buy Finnish clubs. So they were absorbing those big brands from Finland, and they are struggling a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's sad to see as well, because I think there's definitely a need for it. I think what is the main, how I see the main issue, and we spoke about it. I have an Argentinian friend, Marcus, and he's a big fan of the show, and I love him to bits. And we spoke about it, that we think that the main issue at the moment in a lot of places is accessibility. So that people cannot really pay 40, 50 pounds an hour, or they can until it's a new thing, and it's nice, and it's shiny, and you've got a new Adidas metal bone, and you've got a new, I don't know, bull paddle hack, which just came out, and Paquito is playing with it, and it's just so crazy, it's so cool. But once you realize that how much you need to struggle to become a better player, you're just like, yeah, I don't know. I might not be paying 15 pounds for 90 minutes. I might just do something else. I might just go to the spa. And I think as soon as that kicks in, and that might have been in Sweden as well, because obviously during COVID, that was, as you say, that was one of the sports which you could actually play, which is mental because you're closed in a closed space with four people. Like, you couldn't play tennis, but you could play squash and you could play paddle. And like, you're in a closed space, literally like 1 meter away from your partner. and you're playing with the same ball, mental. But whatever, like, that's COVID for you. That's pretty much like it sums up COVID. But it was different in Sweden anyway. Um, and I think it's really interesting that until paddle is accessible for the masses, as what they did in Spain, because in Spain they made, like, a court is like what, 10 euros an hour, something like that. Obviously not all the courts, but some of the courts. So I think until that one is sorted, it will be tough to actually build up the same culture as what they have in Spain or in Argentina. But yeah, just basically,
But
yeah. Sorry,
sorry,
sorry.
no, I wanted to tell you something about the culture, which because I think this topic is pretty interesting. For example, in Finland, what they did is, okay, let's make this paddle club very profitable. So let's see what they are doing in Spain, how they make profits, and let's try to bring it here and do the same. And that's a mistake, and they have seen that it's a mistake. Why? Because the culture in Finland has nothing to do with the culture in Spain. So people in Spain will finish the match and they will stay there drinking a beer and chatting for 1 hour. And Finnish are in a hurry, they have to go home because they have to prepare the kids or for whatever reason. So they are not going to stay there. In a weekend, Spanish will go on a Sunday to the club. They're going to spend the morning there, have lunch there, stay the whole day there. Finnish are not going to do that.
Hmm.
So, and I think also in terms of coaching, which I don't want to enter there again because we are talking about different things, but there is this kind of trend that, okay, let's go to Spain, let's see what they are doing there, and let's try to copy. And this doesn't work because every country have different culture.
Yeah.
So even in terms of playing, Spanish is not gonna play the same way than a Swedish or than a Finnish because it's different culture. People think differently. They behave differently. And I think in business and in, let's say, running a paddle club is the same thing.
Yeah, and look, I think it's really interesting you point that out, because I think how I see Spain is exactly the same. Like, in many ways, Hungary is the same. Like, I absolutely love that culture that we make a whole day of it. Like, we play, obviously, then we grab a beer or two or three, whatever, and obviously not driving back home. So yeah, but I think it's really interesting because it evolves, and how I see, for example, in the UK, the customer service, as you put it, the customer service is really good. You get a great club, you get tap beer, you get, like, you get like, a sauna, a gym, all that. In Spain, you just put down a court anywhere. You just have a fridge, or someone with a bar or just the keys, and they will still stay there. Here in the UK or Finland, for that matter, if you have an amazing club, they won't even stay. So, it's just a really strange model on what they would like to do. Here in the UK, there's a culture for drinking, but also people are in a rush. And if you think about it, London is even worse, because London, everyone is in a rush all the time. As you said before we started recording, you were saying that your brother lives in London, so you know exactly how it is. Does he play paddle, by the way?
No,
Oh,
he's
come on.
he's IT guy.
Okay, get you. Still, he should be playing paddle. There's a lot
Yeah,
of there's a lot of Spanish here in Bristol who do play paddle, and they some of them, weirdly, some Spanish started to play in Bristol. I mean,
okay.
they grew up in Spain and they haven't played paddle. Great, great. So my next question would be to basically describe on how it is. I mean, you spoke about a lot, but like the best of the best, because you're coaching Finland's national paddle team, if I'm not mistaken. And
Not anymore.
okay, so you used to. Okay, so that's still, it still is a good question though. Um, how do you see them, like the best players in Finland? I know you said that they're still not there as the Swedish, but how long will it need for the best Finnish players to actually compete with, let's say, the Dutch, the Belgian, the Swedish? So how long will that, or does it need to change completely? How do you see that happening?
That's a question we have been talking a lot with my friends there. It's a difficult one. The thing is this, that the best players, they are over 30 years old in Finland. So for me, when they ask me this question, I usually say either one very good tennis player or two or three very good tennis players, young ones in their 20s, they decide to give it a try to paddle. So then we could have in few years, let's say 5-8 years, one very good tennis paddle player, or we will have to wait a lot. Actually, I think over 10 years that we have someone very, very, in the high in the ranking, or at least playing the main drawing, let's say Premier Padel. Because I mean, if you see Sweden, we have those guys who are already playing Premier Padel. Simon has been playing paddle for, I would say, at least 10 years, really much. Then who was the other guy? Do you remember the other guy who actually is really good? I think is the best one in Sweden.
Axel.
Who?
Axelsson. He's
Okay, this is
partner.
a new one, but there was another one.
Oh yes, I know. He was sponsored by RS as well.
Head by Head, yes.
Okay.
No, by Head. But anyway, this guy was really good in tennis. I think he was number one in Sweden in junior. So I could say it will take a lot of time.
Because I think Jonas Björkman, it's just sorry to interrupt. Jonas Björkman is like the head of the Swedish paddle team, and Björkman is like he won like I don't know 10 plus Grand Slams in tennis. Do you watch tennis, by the way?
Yeah, I have seen him on social media. He's now really into paddle.
Yeah. But do you watch tennis? So is it something that
I have watched? Yes, I watch from time to time.
Okay.
I watch more paddle, but from time to time I watch a lot of
paddle. Who's your favorite player in paddle? Just out of interest.
I think favorite player or the one that I enjoy the most watching.
You can say both.
Okay, I think the favorite is Tapia.
Okay, and who do you enjoy watch the most? I thought that the second one will be Tapia.
Yeah, I think nowadays I enjoy more watching Tolito.
Okay.
Because I haven't watched him so much. So I think maybe after this year I will probably change. But I haven't watched Tolito so much playing against such a high ranked players. So now I enjoy a lot watching Tolito because I really think that guy, I mean, he has so much talent, but also he's so creative. And I believe we need more players like that. Padel is becoming a little bit robotic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. With like, Augsburger and even Liebach on the right and you see Cardona and look, it was quite a controversial topic and I want to ask your opinion about it as well because I said that like even Coelho who I did say that Coelho I believe is like Holland. So he's like a big, massive guy, with a big smash, but he's really skillful, which a lot of people don't really see or don't really know. And also back to your Tolito, like that you love to watch Tolito. I really like to watch Gonz Alfonso as well. Like he's
Both, yes.
170. What people don't really realize, he's a small guy with a massive smash. Like it's really amazing to see these guys and he has an immaculate technique. If he would actually take it seriously, both of them to be fair, I still feel like they could be top 10. Because but for that, he would need to like Tolito would need to lose weight for sure.
Yeah. That's absolutely. But there is one thing is that people don't know. We have no idea what is going on with Tolito. In his mind, maybe he can lose weight.
Yeah.
There might be some emotional things or some things or maybe he start losing weight. He started to take it so seriously, and then he started playing worse.
Yeah.
You never know, and it's so easy to be in the sofa just saying, "This guy, if he lost weight, he would be very good," and blah blah blah. We are in the sofa, like just changing the channel.
I mean, at least you and me, we aren't, but I know what you mean. I absolutely know what you mean. You know what I want to ask? It's a weird question, and you might say, and that was another controversial topic on my channels. Why is Padel so hard?
Hard.
Yes,
But usually people say it's easy.
exactly. Prove me wrong. I feel like it's the hardest sport. Even look, I still feel like tennis is a harder sport. Don't get me wrong. I still feel like tennis is the hardest sport there is. But the more I play paddle, I've been playing for 3 years, two and a half years, almost 3 years now. I feel like every time I go on court, I became like I sort of became a better player, but I feel like I know less. So I I feel like I need to ask you this question because you know so much about paddle. Why is paddle so hard?
But that's good what you said. Like every time you go there and you start feeling you know less, or not less, sorry, but that you know little, that's a very good sign, actually. That's when you start knowing, I think, a lot. At the
Yeah.
beginning, I think, like, for example, a tennis player would enter in a paddle court with a, tennis ego. Okay, what is this? Small racket. This is so easy. And then comes another guy that he doesn't know even how to hold a racket properly, and then he's a 6-2, 6-2, and you say, but what is this? So I think that's the point of paddle. That I think tactically, I've been talking a lot about this with other tennis players. I think tactically, paddle is much more complex than tennis. For example, of course, there are other sports that are more complex, like football, or if as more players there are on the court, more complex it gets. But also, I think paddle is very complex from the tactical point of view, and I think that will make it hard, very hard actually. And then there is another thing, which is the ego. So you see the court very small. It's kind of easy to pass the ball, so you start feeling you can do a lot of things on the court. But actually, the court is so small that it's not easy to do tricks and to do angles and to play hard shots. So you have to stay many times very humble and say, okay, I must just play down the line, big margin, lower speed, and that's it. I cannot do more than that.
Yeah. And sometimes you need to put the por tres or por cuatro out, but that's a totally different thing. But that helps. If you have a massive smash, that helps. I can tell you that much. Yeah.
And there is and there is another thing which is very difficult for people and even for professional, I would say, is that still it's very difficult to play as a team when
Yeah.
they play paddle.
Yeah.
They still play individually, and as you can see, the ranking is individual, and it's very hard to understand that this is a team sport, that you should make your partner better player, that you are not going to win a match alone, that you need your partner, and this is really hard, especially if you are used to be tennis player, especially for tennis player, because you are used to play individually. So it's very hard for tennis players to understand that this is a team sport. However, people who come from team sport, for example, football in Finland, they come a lot from hockey. You can see that they have a lot of benefits from that background. They understand very well team sport, and they also kind of understand very well space and time. There are
Yeah.
many things you don't have to explain to them that you can see. They know where to position. They know if there is a space there. Okay, I should put the ball there. This is probably coming from the background. That's because I told you before that it's super beneficial, and this message is probably more for juniors, that they don't specialize that early in paddle. If they're into paddle, that they play other sports, because in the long run, it's gonna benefit them.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I do feel like and I just wanted to reflect on what you said. When I first for the first 3 months, I was like, yeah, Premier Pedal, here I come. So like, as a tennis player, when you walk through the cage and you're in and you're like, okay, yeah, like what's the whole fuss about? Like, I hit a smash, they're not even gonna move for it. So like, that's how it is. But after a while, you just like realize, okay, not even a really good smash, like they can be really high at the net, like they're 2 meters high plus their hand, they're trying to reach a ball. You have to really make that work to actually get over them. So I absolutely know what you mean. And you know what I also wanted to say about being a team sport, it's really interesting because I want to ask you about LeBron. And LeBron is one of my favorite players, even though he's really controversial. But I feel like, he's a really, really great player. And it's really interesting to see that now he had a whole preseason with Stupa and look at his results. During the year, he tried three different partners and it didn't really work out. With Paquito, it really didn't work out. Then they still played with Galan. That was crazy after they broke up, like they didn't care. I guess you've seen last week what they like in the final when they were warming up and they were just like, and he wasn't mucking around. That's what a lot of people don't really realize. That was real.
Mm,
That was
mm,
proper beef. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So how was it to play with LeBron, and how did you end up with playing LeBron? Like, what was that about?
So Lebron is from the same hometown that I am. So he's from El Puerto de Santa Maria. I don't remember I think LeBron is now 28
Yeah,
or
something
something
like
like
that.
that.
28,
So
29, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so or yeah, or even 30 maybe. I don't remember. But anyways, I'm 37, so I'm like 7 years older than him or something like that. So I saw him, here in the clubs, in the tournaments, and we played one tournament when I was maybe 23, 24. So he was 15, and we won it. And it was the first time that we played together. He used to play in the right side. I played in the left side, and at that time, so he was moving when a lob came to me like kind of high. I was moving from left side. He was entering in my court and he was smashing and bringing the ball like 5 meters up. And that he was that at that time maybe 15 years old or something like that. So it was pretty impressive. But honestly, when I played with him, I mean, of course, he was really young. So I felt, okay, this guy is very good. But nobody could imagine that he could be as good as he is now.
Yeah.
Of course, he has natural talent, and he was very good already. But actually it wasn't like something really crazy.
Mm.
So, for example, it wasn't maybe Tolito. You would see him if you saw him. Maybe he was 15. You would be like, okay, what is this? So he was not that much. Of course, he was really really good, but the guy has something.
Yeah.
First, he wanted to win so much.
Mm.
So Lebron was this player that when he lost, tight match, he would go out crying,
Mm.
and then he was so passionate. So the guy, played the match, tournament, finished the match, and then immediately he went to an empty court, and then he started practicing there, even if there was nobody. I'm telling you, maybe he was already 15 or 16 years old. He would start trying things, I don't know, kicking against the wall. Then the father came to me, Nacho, hey, can you say to Juan that he needs to eat, that you have to play, in 1 hour the final, stuff like that. So he was super passionate also. So I think that's probably one of the things that make him, got to. Then he moved to Madrid and then got to the top. Because, for example, for me, I played a match. I like it a lot, but I played a match and for me it was done. Like I didn't want to play anymore. I was mentally done, but he could go and then spend 2 more hours on the court, just waiting that someone else came
Yeah.
and then start playing with him.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you see him, you know that he is special, and I think it just came to me when you said that when you've seen Tolito when he was 15, you see a lot of really amazing, skillful football players, right? And you're like, oh, this kid must be amazing. And when you put him in a team, he's gonna be rubbish. But you know that like in paddle, it is one thing how skillful you are, but here's another Tolito thing that like, if I think they're trying. Like that's how I feel about it. That Gonza, Alfonso, and Tolito want to get into the top 10. They want to get to Barcelona at the end of the year to the Masters. They want to be there because I think that's their plan because they won the A1 tour so easily. And back to LeBron. Um, is I think he's a workaholic. You can see that he's still like really pushing himself, and I think it's great that now Stupa is a lot more laid back and that's what he needs next to him. So I think that's why they're really successful. And I don't know if you know, but today Tolito and Gonza Alfonso is actually playing Stupa and Lebron. So that
Okay,
will be
nice.
tonight in Santiago.
Actually, I saw that they won. They won yesterday. Javi Ruiz and the other
Javi
guy, the left
Leal?
hand.
Javi Leal,
Sorry,
I think.
no, it was Javi. I mean, Tolito and Gonza. They won.
Okay.
Javi Ruiz and the other guy, the left-handed. I don't remember his name. Which they are really solid players.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are actually like making very good results. So of course, I think everybody who knows about padel, they were not expecting these guys. I mean, Tolito and Gonza to be in the semi-final or in the even quarter-final from the beginning when all the best players were there. But I think everybody knew that this guy could be really a nightmare for many players, and they are already demonstrating that the guy with 15 overweighted 15 kilograms, and he is winning really solid
He's
teams.
quick. He's quick. So it's not just that he's good, but and he has amazing hand skills, but he is getting to the net. So like, he's not staying back.
Yeah, exactly. He's quick, but I would say he's actually quick here.
Yeah.
He has so good positioning and very good intuition. Probably the player with Tapia who has better intuition.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the both guys are jokes, and we all know that they grew up together. So it was that's why they were training together, and that's why they know each other. Look, Nacho, we could go on for days, but because I know that you're in your hometown, or at least you're in Cadiz, I really don't want to waste a lot more. So all I want to ask from you is your plan with paddle and what you want to achieve, either with the channel. Do you want to stay in Finland? Obviously, I appreciate that your wife is Finnish, or you are planning to maybe do something in another country. What is your plan with paddle?
So when I moved there, my plan was, hey, I want to build a real academy. And when I said a real academy, I mean like an academy which all the coaches, they are working in the same way. We have the same philosophy. We are very professional. We have players who are coming on a weekly basis for hopefully many years, which is what is happening. So basically, I think we have got that already. We are actually in a small city, but I think we are already a reference in Finland in terms of coaching and academy. So now this year I've been starting. Okay, where do I want to go? So actually, the most natural thing would be because Finns like Malaga a lot, so they travel to Malaga so much. So probably the most natural thing would be to have Finns paddle in Malaga. But of course, that takes time and is not that easy. So that would be the most natural thing. And then from the channel point of view, I would like to continue sharing a lot of content, and I'm already getting a lot of nice proposal of collaboration that I have no idea where it's going to go, honestly, because you never know. But with the channel would be to trying to help people to still question a lot what is going on. It's very nice because I get a lot of messages from people, that they have been struggling a lot with some coaching that they have had, and they feel that it's not helping them, but somehow it makes them feel kind of, like they feel that they are the one who actually are not developing, and the coaches are blaming them because they're not good enough. So they are saying thank you because all these things that you are saying are resonating and are helping me. So basically, that would be the idea with the channel. For me, the channel actually is super fun to do it. So just making the videos for me, we do it on Sundays, and it's super fun. Like we spend maybe a couple of hours doing them. But at the same time, of course, I'm doing it because I feel that's gonna help me to find new paths in my paddle career.
Um, And there's a plus one question as well, because I think that would be a pretty interesting one for everyone who's listening. Do you do like weekend sort of, in terms of like coaching sessions? So if someone wants to inquire about that, do they like we will just leave it on YouTube for anyone obviously your tag as well, but it would be really interesting for me. For example, I would love to have a weekend worth of coaching from you. So is it something, because you were talking about the academy, is it something that you offer that as well? Like I know that like obviously Maori is doing that, or and maybe in the summer Finland isn't that horrific weather-wise. So is it something that you're offering, or is it something that you might be offering in the future?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I've been getting a lot of requests about this. So I'm gonna make actually one in June in Malaga, because I'm gonna be in June in Malaga. So I'm gonna make one for players, actually for coaches too. So that I will post it, and then I want to make one also in July in Finland, because July is pretty nice. Actually, it's amazing. Finland
There you
in
go.
July is like crazy nice. Because in winter time, I've got some requests, from people, even from the other day I was talking with a woman from Singapore, and she's willing to come to Jyväskylä. So it's crazy. I was thinking, okay, how is possible that these women want to come? But then I got other people, like some people from the UK, some from Morocco. They are willing to come to Finland. So, but of course, it's much easier. For example, if we would get this campus in Malaga.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be the idea. The first one is gonna be in Malaga in June.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. I will let you know if you.
Yeah,
if you want
please,
to come.
please do, and we will obviously post that on our channels as well. I can think of words than sauna, vodka, and paddle. Nacho, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming. It was an absolutely amazing few little minutes what we spent together. It feels like, we literally just started.
Thank you very much. As I told you in the message, I think we need more guys like you making this kind of podcast, and also with the consistency that you have been able to do it, because you've been doing this for years, which is amazing.
And I'm
So
still nowhere.
keep on doing it, because I feel that you really have this energy and you are passionate about it. So I'm sure that you are gonna get nice results. We don't know how, when,
we did. We literally don't know how, but we're good. We're just gonna keep
but
pushing.
I'm sure. Like keep on. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you.